Hey, it's Clay. How's everybody doing? I wanted to do a quick video on just some tips and tricks on soldering. If you are going to change out your pickups or do some sort of do-yourself project on your guitar that involves soldering, it's actually extremely simple and easy to do, and it's easy to get good at. It can save you a bunch of money, and it can just be a really helpful part of putting together a project. Just wanted to go over a couple of the equipment materials you're going to need. First and foremost, a soldering iron. This is from Radio Shack. I believe it is a 25 watt, and that will do just fine. You really don't need, yeah, this is a 25 watter. That will work perfectly. Even 15 watts work fine. You know, something like a big gun style 40 watter is going to be a little bit overkill. And actually, you don't want to have something so severe because, you know, if you're going to be like soldering on the back of a pot, if your gun is too hot, you will actually kind of melt the insides and kind of cause damage there. So you don't want something that's too big. 15 watts is going to be perfect for something like this. One of these is extremely important. I also got this from Radio Shack, I believe, and it's got these really handy gauges for clearing the covering on your wires. Which is really, really handy. I use this thing all the time. We've got some just standard wire. I think this might be 18 gauge. This is solid core. I also have stranded core. And so basically the difference is if I go ahead and clear this off, this is one solid piece of wire. It doesn't fray, it doesn't twist. It's just one solid, and it's actually will hold its shape. So if I can like actually bend it, and it will kind of hold its shape, which can be really nice if you're doing like a very neat, tidy build where you need very exact lengths of wire to hold in a specific form and position. But then with this stranded wire, you actually have a bunch of little pieces of wire, and they will actually all fray apart like this. And actually, I kind of prefer this, and so usually if I'm trying to make I'll just twist it to make it a little bit more unified, so now it's kind of a unified tip. It's a little bit more flexible, it's a little bit more, I really don't know a lot of like the electronics in terms of conductivity, if one is better than the other in terms of conducting signal. I don't really know enough about that, but those are your two types of options. This one's probably a little bit more easy to work with, whereas the solid core maybe allows you to be a little more precise. But whatever, it is what it is. You can kind of do some more research there. This is solder. Now this is rosin core. There's I think lead core or something. I don't really know a lot about solder, but there's an older type of solder that was used maybe 50, 60 years ago that actually can be harmful to you. So getting the rosin core can be a really good choice there. I think I got this for like $5 on eBay, and it will last me maybe for the rest of my life. So yeah, it's really pretty easy. Basically, with this is what holds your joints together. The heat from the soldering gun will actually cause this to melt, and then when you pull the soldering gun off, then it will dry and hold everything in place. So that's that. I've also got some desoldering braid. This is really nice if you ever have to undo anything, or if you're, you know, a lot of times with a project, you might want to keep, you know, let's say you're replacing the pickups in a guitar. I mean, you might want to keep the pots or the switch, but you just want to remove the leads from the pickups. You can use this, and actually the way that you use this is, so if I've got, you know, a wire in here and it's full of solder, you just actually physically put it on top and then place the soldering iron over top of it, and it will actually suck through capillary action. It will suck up the old solder. And you can see there's actually some work that I did before. This is really, really handy. I would really highly recommend buying this. I think it was like $4 for this. And it's really, really helpful in case you ever have to undo anything or you make some mistakes. Yeah, this can be really, really handy. And yeah, I think that's about it in terms of your tools. In terms of how it actually works, I mean, first of all, you got to plug in your soldering iron, maybe give it 10 minutes or so to heat up, and I'm just going to cut off. I want to do a black one. I kind of like to color code my wires. I usually use green as the input, red as the output and then black for ground, because I'm kind of nerdy like that. But it actually can be really helpful if I'm ever trying to troubleshoot. So this is going to be my length of the wire. You can just cut it here in this sheathing part, and then I'm going to go ahead and strip it. I like to leave about that much. I don't really know how much that is in terms of a measurement. Maybe 1/4 of an inch, something like that. But you don't want to leave too much, cut too much off, because then you have a lot of unexposed wire, and that could potentially bump into other wires and short out your connection. So you don't want too much, but if you also don't want too little, because that can make it hard to work with. Then I like, if it's braided wire, I like to just kind of hold it in place and then spin it, and that will actually cause these wires to kind of almost like a barbershop pull together, so they'll be nice and unified. It's really easy to work with. And straighten it out. And then one kind of a quick tip that took me a while to learn that can really help you from making any mistakes is to actually do what is called a physical connection first. So if I'm going to go ahead and just put this in this third terminal, I'll loop it in, but then I'll actually put a little kink about halfway through. And then you just kind of use my fingers to actually kind of create like a fish hook. So if you can see that it's actually hooked, and then I'll just kind of pinch it together. So basically what I've done is I've ensured that there will actually be a, if I were to leave it like this, it would probably conduct the signal. I say probably because you never know for sure, but it's much better than just, the alternative. And what I used to do is just leave it straight and kind of stick it through, and then put a whole bunch of solder and flood it. So that is not as good as actually doing the fishhook style. So what you're doing is you're actually creating a mechanical, physical connection where the wire is physically holding itself onto this terminal of this pot. So when you actually apply the solder, all the solder does is keep everything in place. It doesn't actually, provide the connection between the wire and the pot. It's doing that physically, and then all the solder does is kind of hold it in place permanently. So then I like to undo some solder, grab my iron, and then this is called tinning. So you actually put a little bit of solder on the edge. So you can see I've got a little bit of solder on my iron, and then you actually place it. Now where I like to place this is you want to be touching both the pot and the wire, but mostly the pot. You want to actually heat up the mechanical part. Go ahead and kind of place it on there, let it heat up, and then start inserting your solder. And as you can see, it starts to flow nicely, and then you go ahead and pull it off. Now the sign of a good joint is that it's nice and shiny. I don't know how you guys can see that, but it looks shiny. The solder is actually connecting the wire to itself. So again, ensuring that there's a nice strong mechanical connection. And if I pull on it, it's very solid and stable. Yeah, I'm very confident that this joint is going to last the test of time. And as you can see, I don't even have a lot of solder in the eyelet itself. Most of the solder is actually around the wire, connecting the wire to itself, and it just is by the mechanical connection that it actually touches the pot. And by using this method, it's really easy. It's really, you have very stern and sturdy joints. It's very reliable. And yeah, so basically after that, you just keep following your wiring diagram. It's kind of like putting together a set of Legos, really. And that's pretty much about it in terms of, yeah, taking care of this. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but it takes a little bit of practice. One thing is you don't want to have too much solder. If you have too much solder, it's really easy to make a cold joint, and a cold joint is one that is actually not working, one that's not going to actually conduct the current, and that actually will look dull. And if you ever have problems, like say you get done wiring it up and you're not getting any sound, I would say 9 times out of 10 your problem has something to do with the fact that there's a cold joint somewhere. And so really, if I have problems, the first thing I do is I just take my soldering iron and just re-wet every joint. So basically all you would do is just take your soldering iron, press it up against the joint until you see how it kind of looks wet and is moving, and then you take it off. Give it a little blow to dry, and then yeah, you should be good to go. But it's really simple to do, really easy. I would highly recommend anybody who's into tinkering with their guitars to learn how to solder. I mean, it's probably what, $10 for the iron, $5 for the braid, $5 for this, maybe $5 for all the wire and the solder. I mean, so for less than $20 or $30, you can get started. And I mean, I've been using that soldering iron for years. I've been using this for years. I've been using the wires for years. I have to get new desoldering braid every once in a while because I would do a lot of work on pedals, and so I'm doing a lot of desoldering if I'm working on a PCB. But I mean, the upfront cost is pretty minimal, and then you can use these tools for a long time. And yeah, it's really, really good. I've probably, I mean, in my Brown Stratocaster, I've probably rewired that thing 50 times. I mean, it has seen every possible Stratocaster wiring method known to man. But yeah, it's pretty easy. It's fun, you know, being able to turn your guitar into something that you enjoy. And yeah, so those are my tips. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.